This Fleet Equipment Unscripted interview is presented by Hendrickson, a leading manufacturer of heavy-duty suspension systems and components to the global commercial transportation industry. Visit hendrickson-intl.com to learn more.
Hi, everyone. I am Jason Morgan, Content Director for Fleet Equipment. Welcome to Fleet Equipment Unscripted. Today, we're talking with Jason Gies, Vice President of eMobility Business Development for Navistar, and Terry O'Day, Chief Operating Officer for In Charge Energy. Gentlemen, thank you so much for catching up with me. Excited to talk with you.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
So you both put out a recent press release, and I mean, the big headline here that you are partnering to offer carbon neutral EV charging, right? EV is growing here in the market. We're seeing more fleets adopt it. It's really becoming a viable, a year ago when it was still just a headline and a what if, we're really seeing operations rolling with electric vehicles. Charging, we're still trying to figure out. One of the most interesting parts of your press release that really jumped out to me was the news of low carbon fuel standard credits, which you gave an overview in the news, but can you explain that to me? Like I'm a 5-year-old and I don't know what that means, and this is all new to me, right? It sounds really cool, but what is a low carbon fuel standard credit, and what is me if I'm a fleet operating EVs?
Sure, I'll be happy to take a crack at that. It is a complicated concept, so I appreciate the challenge. In California, Oregon, and British Columbia, and increasingly other states are now considering adding a regulation called the low carbon fuel standard. And what this is it looks at existing fuels in the market and rates them based on their carbon content.
Okay.
And then it requires all fuel providers to reduce their carbon content over a period of time. I think decades out. So each year, those fuel providers have to reduce their carbon content. They do that typically by blending into gasoline or diesel ethanol from various sources. They have other types of strategies to reduce the carbon content, but none of them can meet that standard solely by mixing the fuels. And so they buy credits in the market, and credits are generated by other fuel providers for vehicles like electricity, renewable natural gas, and other sources. So those credits trade on an open market. And the buyers are the fuel producers. So the fleets who are consuming electricity and other alternative fuels have the opportunity to generate low carbon fuel standard credits in those 3 markets in North America and sell them and actually produce revenue for your fleet.
Okay, because the press release also noted that you convert energy consumed by fleets into 100% renewable sources. So does that mean that if I've got like a mixed fleet and I'm bringing on electric trucks, I have that already on the EV side, but then I can convert that fuel side with the credits to be more carbon neutral? Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And this is where it really starts to get complicated. So your electricity that you pull off of the grid has a mix of sources in it. And each electron is the same as another to you. You can't tell the difference, but from a point of view of a market, you can tell where the sources are of the electricity. So some are renewable, some are not. And based on the grid that you're coming from, you may have more renewable content than other places. In any case, you can, through these programs, get to 100% renewable power by buying what's called RECs, renewable energy credits, in these markets. And when you do that, those RECs validate the source of your electricity as renewable, and as a result, increase the value of your low carbon fuel standard credit, because now you can say the electricity that I'm using is no longer, say, 2/3 or 1/3 renewable. It's actually 100% renewable. So in that case, I get, an extra 2 credits, for 1 to 2 credits on top of every one that I generate. And that just means more revenue into the fleet.
Right. No, okay. I see how that's going, and I mean it's an interesting thing because right now with electric trucks rolling out, yes, we're reducing the emissions at the tailpipe, but if we're just moving that carbon load over to somewhere else from where we're getting the energy to charge, we're really not doing what we're setting out to do. Where does so I mean fleets super focused on efficiency, and we always often talk about fuel efficiency, but now if we start talking about energy efficiency, right? If we're running electric, running diesel, it doesn't really matter. We have an energy spend in terms of how I'm charging or how I'm fueling my trucks. Where's the ROI rubber meet the road here? How does that work in with the renewable energy credits, and what benefit would I see as a fleet from a monetary point of view, or is this purely like a sustainability goals play?
Well, from a sustainability perspective, it's important to know that no matter where you're fueling in North America, if you're using electricity versus conventional fuels, you are coming out ahead on a sustainability standard. So this is a common objection, where does your fuel come from? It's important that we have this product in order to overcome any type of objection like that, but you're always coming out ahead on sustainability factor. And so that's a meaningful driver. And as to the ROI, what we're seeing is opportunities in those states, California, Oregon, and British Columbia, that can recover nearly all of your fuel costs, depending on where you're getting your fuel, where you're getting the electricity from.
Okay,
so it's a meaningful ROI.
Wow. Okay. Jason, on your side, on the equipment side, I mean, following up, you had the EMV announcement here at ACT Expo a couple months ago in August and early September. As you're now talking with your fleet partners on the equipment side, you're bringing in charge energy with this partnership too. How are they wrapping their heads around this whole thing? Is this a conversation? How do you start this conversation? What's important for fleets to know as they're getting into this, how to talk about this with their OEM partners? And a lot of OEM partners, such as yourselves, have charging infrastructure partners. What should they be talking about from your view?
Sure. Yeah. No. So, I mean, the process of buying electric's much different. I think everyone's realized that it's a much longer process. There's a lot more to look at, and what we feel at Navistar and International Trucks is the vehicle's just part of the journey at this point, and we're excited about our launch of our EMV. It's a great product. Our customers are reacting extremely well to it, but charging is as important as it. And we've been really proud to put charging in before all of our vehicles have been launched into customers' fleets. So leading back into the conversation we're having today is having the right kind of connectivity that our customers can see these types of benefits, where their fuel's coming from, how much energy is actually it's taking to charge these vehicles. If you're putting 200 kilowatts of power into the vehicle, it's not always 200 kilowatts of energy coming from the pump because there's losses in the charging. So we're able to give customers a real world, what is my TCO and total cost of operation to run these electric vehicles. So we're excited to put these pieces in front of them through our partnership with InCharge and our On-Command Connect platform. We're tying those worlds together as we speak.
Right. Jason, we're going to stay with you on this one. So when you're talking with fleets, how much of the sustainability comes into the conversation? Is a renewable energy source from where you're getting your energy, is that something on the top of fleets' minds, or are they just more concerned with like, look, I got to get the truck in, I got to figure out how it runs, I got to figure out the duty cycle, got to figure out my charging cycle, or do they have some visibility or buy-in on the carbon neutral energy source side?
Yeah, 100%, especially our larger customers. We're seeing them having very large green initiatives. So they're excited about these types of things. Some of our smaller fleets, not as much is a priority to them, but it's usually a topic of conversation, especially in California, Washington, the places Terry mentioned earlier.
Right.
These are very strategic things that they see that they can help build their TCO. Low carbon fuel standard credits are important as part of the calculations, as important as different other kinds of funding, grants and things. So we want to make sure that we're looking at this total package as we're building out our offerings to our customers.
Right. I'm going to jump back to Terry here. Just, going back to the idea of where you're pulling those renewable energy sources from, you're providing the energy to the fleet at the endpoint. But I mean, once they buy the equipment and install the charger, that's the starting point, right? Then they got to operate and charge the vehicles, and this is kind of the long game. How do you communicate with those fleets, or what do you provide to them to help them, one, internally sell the sustainability effort and the ROI there, right? Because they got to sell that internally to their management and explain what they're doing there, but also just offer guidance. I mean, charging is really complicated right now. There's different utility charges, there's different rates, that kind of thing. What do you all bring to the table, and how can fleets work with you?
Thanks. Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. It is a complicated arena. And if you don't design the infrastructure correctly from the outset, not only will you increase your capital costs, but importantly, you'll increase your operating costs. And when you think about installing charging stations, we often have in a lot of the corporations that are running fleets, you have a fleet manager and a facilities manager or a real estate manager. Frequently, they have never met. They never had to work together to this degree before, right?
Right.
And so the fleet manager says, I'm going to save a bunch of money on the operations of the fleet, and the real estate or the facilities manager says, wait a minute, that means you're going to put all the energy through my P&L, right? And so now we have to really talk and demonstrate the ROI and use that total cost of operation model that Jason was describing. When you do that, you find out an important thing. Not only do you have to design the infrastructure correctly, you have to think about the chargers as an asset in their own right. So that's an asset pair. It's the truck and the charger that goes together. And just like you have operating costs and needs for maintenance and services associated with the truck, you do also with the charger. What we used to say, there's a lot of programs out there. You could get a free charger, as an incentive from various states or agencies.
Right.
We used to say a free charger is like a free dog, right? Takes a lot of care and feeding.
Okay.
Right. So you have to stick around with that. You have to have an operations plan. And what we do is we make that easy by using a software tool that's integrated to the vehicle that does all of your reporting for you, that identifies who can access the charger, when they've accessed it, how much power was drawn, gives you maintenance information about the chargers and corrective repairs, and importantly, keeps the fleet running, because number one for fleet managers is reliability, right?
Right. Well, and then going back to your earlier comments, making sure you're getting the ROI out of your credits and really understanding and getting the internal and external credit for your sustainability goals and everything you've done to meet those. I mean, that's a big thing. You mentioned the big fleets getting into that and really focusing on that. Well, once you do something, you want to be able to show like, look, we did it. Not only did we do it on the money side, but we did it on the feel good sustainability side too. All of that is very important. Gentlemen, I appreciate you taking the time. This has been wonderful. I'm sure I will talk to you again soon as the program rolls out and we get more fleets in it and you hear those experiences. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk.
Thanks, Jason.
Likewise. Thank you.